Hey everyone, happy API Friday. Today is a super special day because we're going to get to see a sneak preview of Hacking the Keg. That's right, for today's live coding session, I'm going to hack the keg with you so you guys are prepared for the Hack a Keg event. That's right, I said hack the keg. Hack the Keg is an evening event this year in Barcelona and Las Vegas. So it was a lot of fun in Vegas, and we're bringing it back for Barcelona. So keep your Tuesday night free and come join us so you can get free beer from Apple and SAP and see me and my team at a really fun event. So if you don't know anything about the Hack the Keg event, little preview is that we give you the API, the OData service that we have available from our Kegerator, which has a bunch of IoT sensors on it. I'm going to be hacking Kegi 1.0, which we used at TechEd Las Vegas, but you guys are going to be hacking 2.0 at TechEd Barcelona. So I'm not giving you a cheat code, just giving you a little sneak preview on some ideas that you could use. Now, you don't want to go into Hack the Keg feeling like this, completely unprepared. Your boss signs you up for something and you have no idea what you're doing. So I'm going to give you a little preview so that when you get there, you can be hands-on keyboard coding right away and prepared to build the best and coolest app. Something that we're going to see today is I'll be doing it with UI5 with Web IDE on the cloud platform, but you guys are going to be using the Apple SDK. So you get to build a really cool native iOS application in the Hack the Keg night. And don't worry if you don't know it, we have iOS experts on hand to help you out with the SDK and setting yourself up. But do bring all your Macs, iPads, iPhones with you. So to get you started, we have our API for our keg here today. This is the Kegi 1.0 from Vegas, and we have a couple entities here for you to play with. If we take a look at the metadata, we can see all the fields available for us as well. So we have information on the keg, the temperature that we're recording from the keg, the flow that's coming through our little flow sensor, which tells us how much beer is being poured, so we can get an idea of how much beer we're serving and what the status of the keg is. So this is our API. This is open currently. I don't know if Craig's going to take it away, but if you want to try and play around with it, this is open right now for you guys to use. So let's head over to our Web IDE so we can actually start building with the API. So I have a shell SAP UI5 application here, just the standard Web IDE template for UI5 application. But to get started, we're going to need to add an O data source to this. So I'm going to go ahead and right click and go to New O data service. I set up a destination already in my Cloud Platform account, so I can go ahead and find my Kegi 1 OData destination. So that's me right here. And then I need to put in the rest of the URL to get to the actual Vegas endpoint. So if I go back over to that page where I have my metadata being shown, I'm just going to copy that relative URL there at the end and paste that in. And then when we go ahead and click test here, it'll load the OData service for us so we can see all the entities and data that is available from that API. And you'll see it matches the metadata format that we were looking at a second ago. So we can go ahead and click next once our data is verified that we loaded. And then here we can go ahead and hit finish, and that'll add this OData service to our application. So now we need to make a couple of modifications to the manifest.json file. So go ahead and open that manifest.json file. You'll see that there is a new data source called vegas.xso, but we need to actually add a model for this data source. So let's go ahead and make it the default model. So we can do that by under the models object, lower down in the manifest.json file, we add that blank name value for the model to make it our default model. We'll set the data source to be the vegas.xso data source that's at the top of our manifest file, and we'll set the preload to true since it's the main source. Make sure you save it so that these changes take effect. Now let's actually go ahead and let's open our main view file, so view 1 in this case. Here we're going to add in a table to actually display some data. I find the easiest way to do this is actually using the sample code that's available through the SAP UI5 documentation page just has a really good reference to pretty much all controls that UI5 has, except for those custom ones that you're making yourself. So if we go to the column list items and open that table, we're just going to copy a whole table view from the XML so that we don't have to recode every single thing. And then we can go ahead and paste it in between our content tags in our view. I'm just going to reformat it because it makes it a little bit easier to see everything. You could just right click and use the beautify, but I like the way it's formatted out of the box here. So now that we copied over the code, we do have to make some modifications because this is for the product list and we're not using a product list anymore. We're doing a keg information. So let's go ahead and use the kegs endpoint, and then we'll sort it on tdate, which is one of those fields for a keg entity. So we changed the path to kegs because that's the entity we're going to use, and then the sorter path to tdate. We'll also give it a new name. So this is kegs data. So we're just changing the name to kegs, and then we'll update our column headers as well so they're relevant for the data we're going to display. So the first column, we'll give it the keg's name. The second column, we'll give it the capacity of the keg, so how many liters are in the keg. And then the third column, let's actually make a calculation for how many beers were in that keg. So we can remove the last two columns. We won't use them. We don't have that much data to display for now. So we can also remove the last two items from the cells array as well, because you have to have a matching number of column headers to cells when you create a table. So go ahead and remove those. Let's change the title of the object identifier to our keg name. We can always go back to the metadata for reference if we forget how something is spelled or named. And remember, capitalization does count here. So we're going to change it to the title to keg name, and then the text field to be the tdate. We'll change the second field to the keg capacity, which in this case is the field keg liters. So we'll go ahead and replace the text to be keg liters. And then we can replace the text as well in the third item because we'll need the keg liters to actually calculate how many beers there are per keg. So if you remember with doing expression evaluation in a field for UI5, you need to use that $ symbol. So we'll do equals and then $ curly braces around our field that we're using. Then we can put it in, we'll put in ×3 because that'll be our number of beers per liter. Go ahead and save your changes, and then we'll go ahead and run the application as well. It's running a little slowly today, but our Keggy 2.0 application is slowly loading. Oh, and here we go. So now we've got a nice table with information about our keg, how many liters of beer were in there, and then what that liters of beer means in actual number of beers that we can serve from the keg. So that's how easy it is to hack the keg. Really hope you guys join us at TechEd Barcelona. We'll be there on Tuesday night to do our Hack the Keg event with Apple. We'll have a keg for you to try out and see the data as it updates. So as you drink beer, our IoT sensors will be collecting that information and storing it for you to use in your applications. So you'll actually be getting live data for your applications. But don't forget, since we're working with Apple here, you're going to be using the iOS SDK. So feel free to play around with the Keggy 1.0 data set so you're prepared and ready to go and have great ideas for Keggy 2.0 at TechEd Barcelona. I'll be there and I hope to see you there too. Until then, hope you have a great API Friday.